Squid Game's finale has led to some huge hype and speculation surrounding the soon-to-start filming spin-off, Squid Game America. There are a bunch of theories out there, and while some are very realistic, there's been a comment war on one super crazy theory in particular. We're about to break it all down, so be sure to subscribe, and let's get into it. At the heart of this storm is a single, controversial theory that's caught millions of interactions on social media. Gi-hun, player 456, is still alive. This isn't just a hopeful wish from fans who felt his story ended too tragically. It has evolved into a complex conspiracy, complete with its own fabricated evidence and a narrative that twists the very fabric of the show's finale. The theory started when an image was passed around showing the Netflix watermark over grainy, pixelated imagery showing Gi-hun strapped to a gurney with what seems to be a doctor sitting beside him and a VIP watching over him from afar. This sparked huge debate over whether or not the image was legit and whether it was a scrap scene, since the show's director mentioned that, originally, Gi-hun was planned to live. But we'll get back to that in a second, since it actually came later. The "he's alive" argument all hinges on a crucial detail. We never actually see Gi-hun's body disintegrate after his final, sacrificial fall. We witness his plummet from the red circle pillar, a selfless act to ensure the baby, player 222, would be the sole survivor. The island explodes in a spectacular fireball, and the assumption is that Gi-hun perished either from the fall or was blown to dust in the subsequent detonation. Yet in the world of television, an unseen death is often no death at all. This ambiguity is the crack where the conspiracy takes root and grows. So, how would this have been possible? The theory suggests that one of the VIPs, possibly the Eagle Mask, who had drunkenly bet on player 222, was so deeply touched by Gi-hun's final act that he intervened. Gi-hun's last words, "We are not horses, we are humans," were a direct challenge to their worldview. For one VIP, perhaps bored with the usual chaos, this act of defiance made Gi-hun more than a player. It made him a unique specimen worth preserving, one that shattered how they saw those beneath them in status. This VIP, with his immense wealth and resources, could have easily dispatched a private team to extract Gi-hun from the base of the pillar moments after he fell, taking him away before the island's self-destruct sequence completed. The frontman's reaction adds another layer to this conspiracy. As he watches Gi-hun's player number extinguish, Jun-ho lowers his head. It's interpreted as a moment of solemn respect or sorrow for the man he tried to corrupt. But the theory offers a different reading. What if that was a look of understanding? Jun-ho knew his gambit to turn Gi-hun had failed, but he may have also known that another, more powerful player was making a move. He wasn't watching a death, he was watching an acquisition. Maybe this is the real way that Gi-hun begins to serve the organization. He chose death, but is instead being prevented from it for a greater, more sadistic purpose. In any case, this rescue wouldn't be an act of mercy. In the twisted logic of the VIPs, it would be the ultimate act of ownership. To save the one player who defied the game's core principle is to possess him entirely. Gi-hun wouldn't be a free man. He would be the ultimate trophy, kept alive in a monitored cage, a permanent reminder of the one time a horse looked its owner in the eye and declared itself human. It's a chilling thought that completely recontextualizes the series' end, turning a tragic sacrifice into the beginning of a new, more psychological horror. But it isn't just Gi-hun's fate that is subject to this kind of wild reinterpretation. The lingering shadows of past players. Other characters, whose ends seemed far more certain, have been resurrected through the power of fan theories. One of the most persistent is the idea that the player Thanos, with his rainbow-colored nails and drug-fueled rants, somehow survived his ordeal in Season 2, getting a fork shoved into his throat. This again hinges on the same idea, that we never saw him being carried away and harvested, implying he could very well be alive. This theory suggests that the pills he was constantly taking were more than just simple stimulants. They were an experimental substance, perhaps an early prototype from the same organization behind the games, designed to push human endurance beyond its limits, possibly with regenerative side effects. When he was seemingly eliminated, the theory states that he didn't die, but was instead placed in a state of suspended animation or underwent a strange transformation at the bottom of the game arena. The hallucinations experienced by Min-soo are reframed as not being born of guilt, but as literal psychic projections from the hyper-powerful drugs. The image of him clinging to the side of the final game's pillar wasn't a memory. It was a real-time cry for help or a threat pushed through the drugs. This transforms a subplot about psychological trauma into a full-blown science fiction horror story, suggesting there are elements at play within the games far stranger than simple life-or-death contests. Should he have survived, Thanos would represent a major loose end for the organization. He would be a failed experiment, a being of pure drug-enhanced stupor, now free from the confines of the game. His return wouldn't be as a player, but as a vengeful force of chaos, singularly obsessed with those who he felt wronged him, like the staff and VIPs, and maybe even the society that made him a monster. The speculation doesn't stop with the players, though. The very future of the game's management is also a topic of intense debate, leading to one of the most intriguing and sinister theories. Gi-hun's daughter, Ga-young, is being groomed to become the next front woman. This idea takes the final scene in Los Angeles and twists it from a dark moment of closure into a chilling prologue for a new chapter of evil. Hwang In-ho's visit is seen not as an act of delivering a fallen man's effects, but as a recruitment mission for the next generation. Her reaction to the news of her father's death is key. She is cold, distant, and seems more interested in In-ho himself. The theory argues this isn't the reaction of a typical estranged youngster. It is the detached, emotionless disposition required to oversee the systematic slaughter of hundreds of people. She possesses the one quality In-ho and the VIP's value above all, an inability to be swayed by sentiment. The package she receives, containing her father's tracksuit and the credit card, is reinterpreted as an initiation test. It's a challenge. Can she look upon the brutal reality of what her father went through and remain dispassionate? Can she accept this blood money without flinching? By taking the box, she is, in the eyes of this theory, accepting the invitation. In-ho wasn't just closing a chapter on Gi-hun's life, he was opening a new one, recruiting his replacement from the bloodline of the man who came closest to dismantling his perfect, ordered world. Why else would he leave the blood-stained jumpsuit? The ultimate irony would be for Gi-hun's legacy to be his own daughter becoming the very thing he fought against. Heroes and villains switch sides. In the depressing world of Squid Game, even the most heroic figures can have their intentions questioned and their actions painted in a sinister light, even more so when it comes to fan conspiracies. No character has been subjected to this treatment more than Detective Hwang Jun-ho. He's presented as the story's relentless hero, a lone officer crusading for justice against evil crimes. But one dark theory suggests this is all a facade. It posits that Jun-ho is not a dedicated detective at all, but a cunning serial killer who used the chaos of the Squid Game investigation as a cover for his own violent impulses. Imagine Dexter, but looking for his long-lost brother and slipping into murder games run by corrupt guards. Sounds like his heaven, right? The evidence, though circumstantial, comes together to form a compelling narrative of deception. His survival on the island in Season 1, his expert takedown of Captain Park with a harpoon gun, his ability to navigate the deadly politics of the island staff, all of it is seen as too convenient, too skillful for just a simple police officer. The theory suggests his obsession with finding his brother wasn't about saving him, but about a deep-seated sibling rivalry, a desire to confront or even usurp the one person in his life who was more powerful and successful, even if that success was in a monstrous enterprise. The massacre on the boat becomes a key point of this theory. Captain Park systematically executes the entire investigative team, but Jun-ho survives. Why? The theory suggests Park wasn't just cleaning house for the frontman. He was eliminating witnesses who might have seen something that implicated Jun-ho. His survival wasn't luck, but rather by design. Even his final interrogation of the dying Park is reframed. He isn't seeking justice. He's ensuring his own secrets die with the captain, trying to get anything he can on his brother. His interactions after escaping the island are also examined closely. His partnership with Mr. Choi is not that of two colleagues fighting for the truth. Instead, Jun-ho is seen as manipulating a man he knows has a criminal record, making him the perfect scapegoat should anything go wrong. By the end, Jun-ho isn't a hero who brought down a conspiracy. He's a killer who got away. His tracks covered by the very organization he was pretending to investigate for the sake of justice. This theme of inverted roles extends to the season's most dynamic duo, the guard No Yul and player 246. Their story appears to be one of compassion and redemption, but theories suggest a more complex and deceitful game was being played. One popular idea is that No Yul was a double agent all along. Her mission was never simply to save one player. It was to infiltrate the Squid Game facility on behalf of a rival organization or a government entity. Her actions are viewed through this lens of espionage. She risks everything to save 246, but her ultimate goal is access. The information about his sick child wasn't just a motivator, but also a ploy she used to justify her actions to her superiors. The most damning piece of evidence for this theory is her decision to burn the entire archive room. An act of protecting one man's identity becomes an act of corporate sabotage. She wasn't just erasing 246's file, but also years of the organization's data, from player records to guard profiles, a treasure trove of intelligence for a competitor or law enforcement. Her final phone call confirming her daughter's location in China is not the happy ending of a personal quest. It's her handler confirming the success of her mission and providing instructions for her exfiltration. These conspiracies, while lacking any concrete proof, build traction because they tap into the core themes of the show: deception, paranoia, and the idea that no one is ever truly what they seem. They take every act of kindness and search for an ulterior motive, every heroic deed and look for the hidden darkness. Whether it's a resurrected Gi-hun, a monstrous Thanos, or a web of secret agents, these ideas transform the story from a narrow narrative into a universe of infinite and often terrifying possibilities. So, which of these do you think is the best? Are there any you think could happen for real? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more Squid Game content and theories, click the video on screen now.